Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode of the Modelcast, the podcast. Now, very excited to welcome you today. Emma,
Hi,
welcome onto the podcast. How are you today?
thank you. I'm good, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Well, you know what? I was following the Big Brother episodes, and of course, seeing you online with the Big Brother, and so so excited to obviously to chat to you. Actually, I suppose one question: how has life been since outside of the house?
It's been two things really. It's been quite sort of exciting and new, like loads of parties to go to,
Lovely.
um little freebies being sent to me, people like asking me for pictures when I'm out and stuff like that, which is, I mean, it's all pretty cool stuff, but no earth shattering, massive, big things have come out of it.
Okay.
Um, and I think that's really important for people that are wanting to go on to Big Brother. I think to go on to Big Brother thinking you're going to be, your life is going to be made when you come off, you'll be a big celebrity, you'll be this. It's nothing like that. It's actually pretty normal. I know some shows like Love Island and stuff like that, they get millions of followers, although I think even Love Island's kind of slowed down a little bit. So I think there's certain shows which will really catapult you into celebrity if that was what you wanted. But I don't think Big Brother, I'm sorry, I'm getting so many notifications coming through. I need to stop something. I do think there are some shows that will give you that, but I don't think Big Brother's one of them. And I think a lot of people have been like, "Oh, Emma, I bet you dead busy, you've been doing loads of stuff." And I'm like, no, not really. Like, life is pretty normal. It's a good normal, but
Yeah.
it's pretty normal. It's pretty normal, yeah.
Cool. And actually, one question I'd love to ask you, actually, to go back actually a few more years ago. Obviously, you did a bit of modeling in the past, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I did glamour modeling for a good 12 years, I'd say. So I did page three. Page three is not even a thing anymore. I mean, some of your viewers or listeners might be thinking, like, what is page three? So for those that don't know, it was in on the pages of The Sun on page three and the Daily Star as well. They'd have like a topless girl.
Yeah.
Nothing too, I mean, obviously her boobs were out, but like quite pretty, nice poses, nothing too provocative, although, like I say, your boobs are out. So
And
I used to be a page three girl. Pardon?
how did you start that journey then? Because it was quite big to be in page three. Let's say,
Oh, yeah, it was
I
huge back
remember Melinda
then.
Messenger.
Yeah, like page three girls quite often went on to become quite, big household names, like you said, like Melinda Messenger, Katie Price.
Of course.
um Way back in the day you had Samantha Fox and Linda Lusardi, who were like these massive celebrities. Again, as with most things, once you get quite a lot of them, so over the years there had been so many page three girls that now perhaps it wasn't such a big deal.
Okay.
um a little bit like reality TVs, really. I mean, the very first Big Brother, or even probably the first 10 series is of Big Brother, those housemates were huge celebrities, and that isn't the case now. So I just think there's that much reality TV, and certainly now there's that many pretty girls. You've only got to go on Instagram, and there's like the most beautiful looking girls everywhere. So page three is kind of, it's done its thing. It's not needed anymore.
Yeah.
And I think
Well,
there are a lot of people that are famous for doing nothing and being nobody. And I don't want to be one of them. Do you know what I mean? So I'm quite happy that I've gone back to my normal life.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? I'd imagine though, at the height, right, when you were doing the page three shoots, it must have
Yeah.
been fun though.
It was pretty good. I had some really, really good fun. There were also a few times where it wasn't so fun. It wasn't the easiest of industries to be in as a young woman.
Okay.
So back in the 90s, it was a lot different to how it was. there was a lot of Me Too type things going on that we almost saw as normal behavior. Like,
Right.
I was
Okay.
talking about this with somebody just yesterday, in fact, and I said, if what happened back then was to happen today, there would be an outrage. Whereas back then we were like, oh, men are like this, and
Okay.
this is only to be expected. Like we've got no top on, but no, that is not right. It's not right. You're there as a model, they're there as a photographer or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, as with most things, people that do things wrong, over and over and over again tend to get caught. The truth tends to come out. So I'll say no more than that.
Yeah, yeah, that's grand, that's grand. And so moving forward, so right. So as you say, you had to cool there the 12 years of doing the photo shoots. So obviously there would have been a little break in between, and then was it?
Yes, that was me having my babies. Yeah.
Oh,
So I stopped modeling when I became pregnant. Um and sadly I lost that baby.
oh,
Um
sorry to hear that.
and yeah, and it was many, many years ago. And so straight away I wanted to try for another baby, and I got pregnant straight away, and I got pregnant with twins.
Oh,
So I thought, I've got the one I lost, and I've got a new one. And then
okay.
I I ended up losing the twins as well.
Oh no.
Um, yeah, they were born 17 weeks early, and they lived a week. One lived a week, one lived a day and a half. And that was just awful. So now I'd lost three babies. So all I wanted now was to have a baby. That was it. That's all I wanted. So, and then I went on to have three more babies
Okay.
who are now, those babies are now 21, 25, and almost 28.
Lovely. Right.
So, so
Excellent.
yeah, I was a single mom with them from when the youngest was just a couple of weeks old. Um, I found my partner was cheating on me in the most awful way, and I thought, right, I'm not gonna do. I didn't know how the fuck I was gonna survive bringing three kids up on my own. At the time, they were 5, 3, and newborn. So to have 3, 5, and under and be on your own wasn't easy, and life was hard, but life was happy
Okay.
because you don't need money to be happy. Although being skint can make you so miserable, and I think, you know, people say that you don't need to be rich to be money, and you don't need to be rich to be happy, and I completely agree. But it's really hard to be happy when you haven't got a pot to piss in, and
Yeah.
you're trying to feed three kids. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's funny when we hear that saying over and over. And I was only talking about that a few weeks ago as well. You know the saying about, okay, money won't make you happy, but you know what? You know what won't make you happy? Living in poverty. But
no, exactly.
it's not as if it's some type of, I don't know,
It's true. I
thinking
think
life. You know,
you always hear people with plenty of money telling you that you don't need money to be
which is
happy.
funny, isn't it? Yeah,
You know what I mean? But I mean,
yeah,
so,
yeah.
and it's true, just because you've got a load of money doesn't mean you're happy. But if you haven't got a shilling, chances are you're pretty sad. So,
And it's quite tough. So I remember I watched one of these shows a few years back. It was about one of the toughest states in the UK. I think it was some estate up the north. It was called oh, I don't know what it was. It was but it interviewed like young lads on these estates where there was no industry, no nothing, and there was a young lad there, and he was only about 18, and he said, you know what? I've had an epiphany. He said about this, money doesn't make you happy. He said, I've realized I'm living here in poverty. Like poverty certainly, isn't some type of, thing to be proud of either. As in, like it's so tough to be.
yeah,
I mean, poverty certainly isn't going to bring happiness either. But whereas money
no,
will give options, give
yeah.
you can buy.
It gives you freedom. If to have money, it gives you freedom, because without money, if you've got money, you can choose where you want to live, what clothes you want to wear, what food you want to eat, what holidays you're going on. You don't have any penny. You eat what you can afford. You'll wear what whatever you've got,
yeah,
and you won't be going on holiday, and you won't this, and you can't choose. And it's horrible. I remember when my kids were little, I was still living in this house that I'm in now. And I'd be sat here, I'm in my kitchen at the moment. I'd be sat in the kitchen and the kids would be various parts of the house, and I'd hear, well, like the dog would hear it first, the little chime of the ice cream van. And
okay.
it'd be a few streets down, right? And I wouldn't have money to buy my kids an ice cream. So I just used to whack the volume on the stereo up, right? So they couldn't hear the ice cream chiming. And that's how skint I was. I was proper skint. And I hate that. I hate that I couldn't go and get my kids an ice cream.
Yeah,
You know,
tough.
it was tough. But then I suppose for me to be sat in my house saying I can't get my kids an ice cream, it's not really as bad as someone saying I need to walk 10 miles to get fresh water from the well to feed my baby. So you know, what my poverty is might be somebody else's. Absolutely, they've made it. Do you know what I mean?
And is it,
So it's all relative.
yeah, and is it life funny in the way that, as in fast forward again from that time, whereas then,
Yeah.
obviously being Big Brother, and think it's all glam. Yeah, it's, oh my God, Emma has been glamorous her whole life, never has had any issues. Everything is
Little do they know.
rosy all
Bloody
the time.
hell.
Eh?
Yeah. No, I've not had it easy. I mean, it kind of, I guess, people say, oh, Emma Morgan, oh, she was a page three girl, and now she's on Big Brother. And yeah, it does. You might be fooled into thinking I've had this real sort of celebrity life and I'm all modelly, and
Yeah,
I'm not. I'm dead ordinary. I've struggled like mad. I've had some lovely times, and I've experienced some amazing things, but on the whole, I'm very, very grounded. I know what it's like to struggle,
yeah,
um, and I know what it's like not to struggle, and I know which one I'd rather have. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. And
So
there, oh God, I think for obviously more from a man's point of view that we never understand it, but that we can empathize so much. I mean, God, as you say, come here, to lose three babies is very tough. You know,
yeah,
very tough.
yeah,
As in, I
yeah,
can only imagine. Coming from
yeah.
man's.
It was awful. I mean, all of the losses were awful, but I always remember going into the hospital with pregnant with my twins, after, and then coming out of that hospital after I'd lost them both and they'd both died. And I thought, as I'm going in, there's three of us. And then when I came out, there was just me. And that, it was just, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Do you
Wow.
know what I mean? I went in full of babies, and I came out empty, and that's exactly how I felt. I just felt really empty. But and it was many, many, many years ago. I think they would be 28 now.
Uh,
So it was a long time ago, and
yeah,
obviously I can talk about it, but it was a long, long time before I fully healed from that. I don't think you're not meant to bury your kids, are you? You know?
yeah. No, no, it's tough. And fair dues, as you say, look, moving on then, that you were, strong woman, kept going and entered Big Brother. And as you're saying, and had the experience there. I suppose, and then, you know what? And then I do think, because obviously for me, I talk to say different people at different levels, say, in the modeling industry, between models, photographers, and mixing them all in different industries, especially over in the States as well. But I
Yeah,
one thing though that seems to be consistent is
yeah.
is when people, right, as you say, you promote a Big Brother, or someone does a big modeling campaign, is that I think something that a lot of people experience I suppose, this sort of culture, this sort of cancel culture, when people seem to do well, I say, on a higher scale. Like, is this something that you, I suppose, would have experienced, of, like, say, coming out of
But
it?
yes. Um, yeah, I mean, cancelled, I don't know, although I do think a few people would love to see me get cancelled. And yes, I just recently, in fact, have suffered a bit of suffered issues I
Okay.
think. And that I made a couple of TikToks that I made and with a friend of mine, and we made them purely out of fun. We weren't trying to be spiteful. We were just doing impersonations, and we weren't being spiteful or hateful or mean or anything. And so many people loved what we did and saw the humor in it. But then there's this little brigade of people who seem very, very young, and maybe just following a little bit like sheep mentality. I don't know, but seem to think that the video was mean and nasty, and that it was bullying, and it was all of these things. And it actually, not only did it surprise me that there was that reaction, but it upset me as well, because I just thought, you know what, I've tried to be funny. I know I can sit here and say I did not mean to offend anybody by it. I thought people would find it really funny, and a lot of people did. I know I've got a bit of a dark humor, but anyway, but I never at any point intended to upset anybody with it. Yet it has upset people, and that has left me scratching my head. However, so this is about a week ago, and it's been a bit of a bit of a circus on social media about it. Not a lot. I mean, who really gives a shit? But anyway, there's been a bit of a circus about it all. And I just, for the whole week, I was thinking, I was using the term wet wipes. I was saying, I can't be doing with these wet wipes.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with. And however, I did speak to my daughter yesterday. And I said to her, I was chatting to her, I'd not seen her for a few days. And I said, oh, they're getting on my nerves, all this going on about how I'm a bully and that. I said, I'm not a bully. I said, you watched the video. You thought it was funny, didn't you? And she went, yeah, she went, it was funny. She went, but I did think it was a little bit mean.
Okay.
So now, now, rightly or wrongly, I'm now listening and thinking, was it mean? Because every person who said it before, I'm thinking, fuck off. It's not mean. What's wrong with you? Have you got no humour? What's your issue? But because I know my daughter isn't a wet wipe, as I put it, and I know that's not a nice term, but I was pissed off, and that's what I said. But I thought, well, she's not like that. She's not overly sensitive. She's got a good sense of humour. And she said it's a bit mean. And I said, but I didn't mean it is mean. How can it be mean? And so I still don't understand how it's mean. But what it has made me think about is that our age, I don't know how old you are. I'm 53. How old are you?
47.
Right, okay. So I'm a bit older than you, but our generation, correct me if I'm wrong, weren't brought up to, we could say anything. Our parents used to say anything. The
Uh,
most
I got.
the most you'd get is a, oh, have you heard him? That'd be it.
Yeah.
Now, back in those days, the video I made would have been funny to people, unless they just didn't find it funny, in which case they just would have said, oh, that's not funny. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't have received the not hate, that's a bit strong, but I don't think I'd have had the backlash from it that I do today. And I don't think it's because all the youngsters are wet wipes. I think it's because they're in a different era. Like I'll say to my dad, will say things, and I'll go, Dad, you can't say that.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
then and my kids will say to me, Mom, you can't say that. And no doubt all these kids that have or these young people who have got issues with stuff that I might be saying, in time, their kids will be saying to them, you can't say that. So it's a learning curve. And I think what needs to happen is the likes of us need to be a little bit more mindful.
Right. Right.
And the kids that are getting offended by it, or the young people that are getting offended by it, need to have a little bit of tolerance. And one thing they need to look at is intention.
Okay.
because intention is everything. If I do a video and I am completely intending it to be a bit of light-hearted fun, I don't think that people bullying me to tell me how bad I am for doing it is correct for them or for me. And I think they need to do it. But also, I don't feel that I need to be censored. If I'm not out there trying to hurt anyone or harm anyone,
Yeah.
like fuck do I want to be censored? But I also don't want to offend anyone. But
Mm.
I just think in this day and age, no matter how nice and fair you try to be, there's always someone who's fucking offended, and it's driving me nuts. And it makes you feel like, oh no, I better not say that. Or is it okay? The amount of people I've heard say, is it okay to say such and such? And is it offensive to say blah blah? Or what are we calling this now? Is this the right thing? Is it
Yeah.
like it's just, where do we draw the line?
Yeah. Yeah.
A minefield. And I think I will still continue to get things wrong. And so will other people. And the people who are not getting things wrong and are offended by it will still continue to be offended. But I just think these two groups, or however many groups there are, need to build some kind of a bridge, because at the moment we're like blah blah blah. They're like, that's offensive, and we're like, oh fuck off your wet wipes. We're all arguing. Do you know what I mean? And it's just that we've all been educated differently, and society is not the same for them as it was for us growing up. And that's where the issue is. It's not that we're bad people and they're good. We're different. We don't see things the same way.
Yeah.
How do we fix it? How are you meant to fix that?
Yeah, I don't know, as you say, what level you can, because even I don't know if you saw last week, there's an episode of Father Ted. So obviously, I would have grown up with Father Ted and thought, no,
Father Ted's great, but
brilliant.
yeah,
But now they're after putting Channel 4, are after putting now a sensory advisory on one or two of the episodes, saying that this may offend you. Whereas when we,
wow.
come on, Father,
Oh my God, now
obviously,
that's crazy.
it's
In
funny.
fact,
Come on.
that's that's what I mean. And I'm sorry, some of these shows from back in the day were so funny.
And they're still fun.
So funny.
Yeah.
And but you couldn't, I see these things on Facebook sometimes, like somebody will put something up, like I might follow pages like TV shows from the 70s and 80s and whatnot. And quite often someone will show a clip and they're like, oh my God, you couldn't show that today, but what a fantastic film. And I do actually think, I feel sorry for people that they can't actually
Yeah.
see real fucking humor. And yeah, it's all well and good. I'm not in a minority living in the UK. I'm a single white female. Um, However, I would like to think that if there was humour that took the piss out of me, basically, that I would laugh along with it. You
Yeah.
know, I,
Yeah.
I think people enjoy being offended and enjoy finding something to crusade against. I'm like, do you know what? There are so many awful things happening in this world. Let's pick our battles. Why do you want to battle every fucking thing in your life? Just chill out. If you really feel strongly about something, stand up for it. But don't pick up every fucking stone in your path, because you're going to have a very long, lonely walk.
Yeah.
Just try and get on, man. Really
And
pick your battles.
yeah, and it reminds you, Zella, of poor Caroline Flack from Love Island. Do you know, as she said, if you could do anything in life, be kind.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I think these people don't